This is the Rest of Everest video podcast, an almost unabridged expedition experience.
Well, hello again, everyone. Welcome back to this bonus episode of the Rest of Everest video podcast. Had the fortune to have the Dalai Lama visit northern Colorado and bless the Great Stupa, just in the mountains about an hour from Fort Collins. And I was out of town with my wife, so I didn't get to go. But fortunately, Major King and his wife Nancy were able to go, and they filmed everything. So they're joining me on this episode. How you doing, Major and Nancy?
Hi, John. How you doing?
We're doing good, John.
Great. So thanks so much for letting our viewers see all this video. This is really great. And let's head up into the mountains outside Fort Collins, up to the Shamhala Mountain Center, and let's check out the visit of the Dalai Lama. Okay, so this is first thing in the morning, isn't it?
It's cold. It's sunrise in Red Feather Lakes, Colorado. Elevation, what, 7,800 feet now?
I think so.
They kind of make everybody walk a fair amount up to the stupa, which is nice. You know, it's pretty.
Now, had you guys ever been there before?
No, we hadn't.
Driven by it a bunch of times, but never been there. That's kind of why I wanted to go.
This is the Great Stupa. It is the largest stupa in North America.
It's very impressive. It's quite nicely done on the inside as well. Pretty cool place. Very large crowd that day. I don't know, 2,500, give or take a couple hundred, and you can see the Dalai Lama coming in on the chopper.
Now, he was flying up from Denver because he was going to be speaking in Denver that afternoon, but he came up in the morning to bless the stupa here.
That's correct. He had been at the Peace Jam, which is an international gathering.
Teenagers. And it was a very eclectic crowd. It was a lot of fun. I would say even the majority of folks there are not practicing Buddhists, but just people who, you know, admire the Dalai Lama for his efforts in bringing world peace and just wanted to be part of a pretty cool event. They had quite a stage built up there, you can see, with a little roof over there. I think that's temporary. That's not normally there. Security was tight. Lots of Larimer County Sheriff's deputies, and they looked serious.
We also had the Secret Service was there.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild.
Yeah. There's the Dalai Lama. He arrived early. We were supposed to have a lot of other events happening, good visuals before he got there, but I think he was running at least 20 minutes ahead of schedule.
Yeah. And this part's kind of amusing because they had some Native Americans there, and they were in full regalia, and when he saw them, he was just very animated, and he was like, look.
Yeah, Major actually did some interviews that are not in this. I'm sorry, I just didn't have enough time. So primarily, I'm just focusing on the Dalai Lama. But he interviewed some people from the Cree tribe, and the Dalai Lama was not alone. He was joined by some other dignitaries, probably most notably
Queen Noor of Jordan.
Correct, yeah.
His Holiness will be in the stupa for a short time, conferring a blessing on it. He will specifically bless the prominent Buddha statue and the Kalachakra mandala, which is on the ceiling. This representation in the stupa represents the Buddha giving the teachings of the Kalachakra to the kingdom of Shambhala, which is, of course, mirrored here.
I wish I knew more about Buddhism. I did gather that there's, and you could probably speak more to this, John, there's like 4 different or separate beliefs or sects, or what do you...
No, they call them lineages. They came down, you know, because they believe in the reincarnation. So these 4 lineages make up Buddhism.
And this is the Shambhala lineage. Technically, the Dalai Lama is not their spiritual leader in an administrative sense.
Correct, yeah.
It was maybe 40 degrees out, so it was quite chilly, you know, for him to be at this location and dressed like he is. Very charismatic guy, though. Very great sense of humor. The crowd was really into it, and he seemed to appreciate the turnout, and it was just interesting to hear him speak.
I'm completely delighted on behalf of the entire Shambhala Mandala and the 2,500 people who arose at dawn this morning to come and greet you, to say you are completely and utterly welcome.
There's the group. There's the crowd.
It was really interesting because when they were, waiting for him after the helicopters flew in and the truck, brought him up, the crowd was just totally silent. I mean, normally when you get that many people together, you have like chattering, and it was just very, very silent.
People were not making small talk. They were very respectful, I think, of the event.
To lead the young Lamas school. It was on the invitation of Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche that I believe one of your earliest visits to America took place. And also we were delighted to host you in Boulder in 1981. We greatly appreciated the message which you sent for the consecration of the Great Stupa, and it is a matter of complete heartfelt joy that you are able to come today, despite the weather and despite everything we've gone through, to arrive out of the sky to bless this stupa. Thank you, Your Holiness.
It is with great privilege and honor that I welcome His Holiness and Her Majesty Queen Noor, who has become a friend in championing compassion, and Rabbi Orwin Kula for being here on this day that many of us have been wishing for many years. In particular, at this time, the message of peace in the world and how compassion can be a viable means of engaging in the world's problems and issues obviously is demonstrated in no better way than in His Holiness and many of our esteemed guests here.
The Dalai Lama prayed in Tibetan and gave a lot of his message in Tibetan. He had an interpreter there to give it in English, but he also made a very good attempt to give a lot of his message in English, and it came across quite well when he did.
Sajong Mipam Rinpoche, Your Majesty Queen, Reverend Rabbi, and brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Sorry. I think I will repeat. I have to repeat. 관계 두제에서는 다와 통제 방법제를 담배 전에 전제 고담 달라 차선로 네 사정을 붙이다 에다가 저든 개비신샤게 에다 미 잠리 에다는 지다간다 라바이 공다 엔테밍기 셔라나 태제 상물로 취할이야 엔터제 도스타 축슬레도 뼈가오종 엔터리나 제 미시브나샤 투시쇼인
Sajong Mipam Rinpoche, Your Majesty Queen Noor, Reverend Rabbi, and brothers and sisters. It's a great joy for me to be able to be with you here and arrive here for a very brief moment. And I would like to take the opportunity, first of all, to express my deep appreciation to all of you, especially those who have been involved in organizing this wonderful event. And you have really gone to a great length to make this a wonderful experience.
So I am extremely happy in this remote area in early morning, joining one Muslim lady, one Muslim Rabbi,
Jewish rabbi.
Jewish. Sorry. Big mistake. Jewish rabbi and Buddhist. As a Buddhist, then Buddha Shakyamuni taught us the practice of compassion and other sort of values on the basis of theory or view. That is, in Sanskrit word, pratitya samupad. That means dependent and arising. So mainly the theory of interdependency, interconnectedness. I think that theory is very scientific. The wind, many particles and formed wind. So if we, but you see when we do lolia, lakbat lungs le dizane, ribu shagdu lolia.
But however, in our naive experience of the world, when we think of the wind that is blowing or the hand that we possess, we feel as if they are discrete, independent realities of their own, something kind of solid and unrelated.
That did nangzam ti masimba korang rangshi khandishto papa samdana zawne nyame.
Having said that, if we were to search and go beyond the terms that the labels that we use, such as winds and hands and so on, if we were to try to find for the real thing, whether it is the hand or the wind, then we get to a point where we cannot find anything.
So there is always gap, appearances and the reality. Why it is useful? Why it is important to know the gaps between appearance and reality is most of our destructive emotion actually based on appearances. Appearance appears something like independent. So on that basis, those things which close to our mind or nice to our mind, we develop attachment. Those uncomfortable, those appearance uncomfortable to us, towards that eventually dislike or irritation or anger, hatred develop. So all these negative emotions need some kind of independent target. So the reality, not that independent. So once we realize the ultimate reality, then those negative emotion or destructive emotion which is based on false appearances. Now these then its intensity reduced. So the another sort of angle, since things are dependent on many other factors. So now the important is our own effort. Action is most important. Just prayer, just a wish, just a meditation, not sufficient. Action is the most important. Action is the karma. Karma makes differences. So therefore, action is very, very important. But in order to, at the same time, in order every action become virtuous action, motivation, compassionate motivation, that is the key thing. So, what's the fellow Buddhist, or just human being, fellow human being, brothers, sisters, in order to live meaningful life, our everyday action should be meaningful, should be positive. In order to have that, the compassionate motivation is the
key factor.
The key factor. So try to be more compassionate person. And also the real stupa is in our own hand, in our own heart. The external stupa is just a reminder to our own internal stupa. So I want to share with these views to you. Then, now my main mind thinking how to return. And the wind increase, then maybe difficult. Conclusion, of course, I'm extremely happy to be here with you. So all your arrangement and warm welcome, I very much appreciate. And I pray every your activities will be successful and beneficial to a larger sort of, community. And through that way, we are part of the humanity. So some group of people becoming more compassionate, that also a small contribution for betterment of the humanity. So, thank you.
I think most of the Buddhist believers were in this upper portion of the crowd. It seemed a lot of folks that I spoke to with up there seemed to be, more members of the stupa.
There he is,
Finish.
placing a kata.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you much.
And that gentleman who spoke earlier was also, he's the spiritual head of the Shamhala Mountain Center.
Thank you.
What we would like to prepare is that all of us take the katas that we have and tie them loosely to the kata of the person next to you. Form lines of katas. His Holiness returns.
He's going to have to wait.
So, touch the kata.
This gentleman here was the guy that I was talking about that was a caretaker of the property. He was really happy
this
to
is
be
Norman
there today.
Riken and his mother.
Yeah. Lives in Boulder now. Folks came from a long ways for this event. Boulder, Aspen, Santa Fe, just throughout the Rocky Mountain region.
Got a son, no hat, no. Want to put my hat on?
I don't think you can do that and still be able to see the camera.
Oh, you wouldn't?
So what did this mean for you to be here today?
What does this mean to be here today? Well, for me personally, it means a lot because in 1970, at the end of 1970, his property was purchased by the Buddhist community in Boulder. My mom and myself and my brother and my two sisters, my dad were the first ones to live on this property as caretakers.
Wow.
And so, in that, it means to me, it's like,
Full circle.
yeah, it's just like my brother. I wasn't able to work on stupa because I was in a wheelchair. My brother and my nephews both worked on stupa for a few years. And, it just, when I look around, it's like being home. Like when I was,
Old friends into
when I went to school in Red Feather Lakes, I was telling these little girls over here to go to school in Red Feather Lakes. There's 26 kids from kindergarten to 8th grade, and I was the biggest and the oldest kid in the class. It's like, anyway, so it's, to me, it's His Holiness, the Dalai Lama being here. The amount of light being brought to the
If you don't have a kata, all you need to do to receive the blessing is to hold on to.
That was a nice sentiment that he expressed there. You
One
find...
of the things
Oh, go
that
ahead.
was in, Oh, I was going to say, one of the things that was interesting is when we interviewed the Cree woman. She lives in Red Feather Lake. She's originally from Montana. And
Almost
she
got
said
it.
that
There
this
you go.
land was very spiritual, and it was a spiritual place that the Native Americans who actually lived in this area would go to. And I asked her, I said, do you think that they knew that when they purchased the land? And she goes, oh, I'm sure they did. So the spirituality and the sacredness of this piece of property goes back a long ways.
Yes, and she actually goes up to the Shamhala Mountain Center frequently and prays up there.
That's actually Nancy in the background there, John.
Yes.
to our viewers out there, that's Nancy. This was actually kind of funny to Nancy and I because he came up to bless everyone by being connected with the kata, and as you can see, very brief.
We called it the drive-by blessing.
Oh, that's great. He is a busy man.
Well, and at that point, he was in the stupa, and they weren't sure if he was going to come out. And I said he had to have been cold, because where he sat on that stage, it was in the shade. And like Major said, it was probably 40 degrees outside. And with just those thin robes, I'm sure he was just frozen.
So there's the stupa in all of its glory. It's actually quite large for something outside of the Buddhist world. And this is the
between
inside.
4 and 5 stories, I would estimate,
Mm-hmm.
to the very top. This is inside the stupa, and that is the Buddha that they had just finished gold plating, I think, within the last month.
I was actually up there.
I think within the last week.
Yeah, I was up there just less than a month ago, and it was almost not gilded at all. So it's nice to see it all complete. It's very ornate inside there.
It's very impressive, yeah.
And there's a constant little alcove, and as you're facing the statue to the right, in the back of the entry there, and there's a letter from the Dalai Lama, a letter of encouragement for the people who for the Shamhala Mountain Center to start construction on the stupa, which was several years ago, obviously.
You know, it's interesting to me, John, with China's takeover of Tibet and the Dalai Lama's exile to India. I almost get the feeling that Buddhism has reached a greater audience, has been exposed to a greater numbers of people because of that event.
Most certainly. You get an international audience, and you can spread the message, and it's just a wonderful message. And there's the offering of the katas. So, well, that's in a nutshell, that's the visit of the Dalai Lama to the Shamhala Mountain Center up in Red Feather Lakes, Colorado. So thanks so much, you guys.
Oh, it's our pleasure. If anybody wants to come visit, come give us a shout on the phone, and we'll take you up there.
And please also check out the website, therestofeverest.com. I will put information about the Great Stupa and the Shamhala Mountain Center in the show notes. So just go ahead and check out the website if you're interested in maybe, checking this out for yourself, or please contact us if you're heading out this way. So thanks, everyone.
Thanks, John.
We'll see you.
Thank you for watching The Rest of Everest. For more information on the expedition, please visit therestofeverest.com.